I always thought the dumbest thing I'd ever hear in my life would come from a politician, or maybe the guy at the DMV who once asked if Wyoming was the one near Florida. But no, turns out the most ridiculous sentence I'd ever hear came from my own wife, while she stood at the sink, humming like she didn't just detonate a bomb in our marriage. "It's left over from a guest," she said. That was her explanation. Her alibi, if you want to be technical about it. She said it while washing a shirt. A men's shirt. Not mine. Not our son's he's 4. Not her brother's, who lives in Michigan and doesn't believe in visiting anyone without a funeral involved. Just a shirt. Hanging there, wet and ghostly, like the spirit of some dude who had no business haunting our home. Now, to understand how we got to that moment, we need to rewind about 3 months. Because, like most people who get blindsided by betrayal, I wasn't paying close enough attention to the rust under the hood. It all started with laundry. That's right, laundry. I know, exciting. Riveting. But let me explain. See, before all this, my wife Nora and I had a system. I cooked, she cleaned. I handled trash duty, she did laundry. Not because we were stuck in the 1950s or anything, just because I once shrunk her favorite sweater, and she never trusted me with detergent again. Then, one day, she started doing extra laundry. Secret loads, done at odd hours. She'd watch a few things at 10 p.m., muttering about a late gym session or wine night with the girls. Thing is, Nora doesn't sweat at the gym. She glistens and leaves early. And her wine nights? Let's just say her friends couldn't organize a group text, much less a spontaneous evening meetup. The next sign? Her phone. It went from accidentally left on the counter to surgically attached to her hand. I once asked her if she was texting someone, and she replied, "No, just checking Pinterest." At midnight. On a Tuesday. In the bathroom. With the door locked. You see what I'm saying? But me? I didn't jump to conclusions. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I told myself I was being paranoid. I'm not the kind of guy who snoops. I don't go digging through purses or tailing my wife through Target like some budget private eye. I believed in trust, even when I probably shouldn't have. And then came the shirt. It was blue. Fitted. Smelled like expensive cologne and poor decisions. I spotted it hanging near the laundry sink one morning, perfectly pressed, like it had just walked off a boutique mannequin and into my marriage. I asked, "Whose shirt is that?" Nora didn't even look up. Just said, "Oh, that? Left over from a guest." And that, my friend, is where this story truly begins. A guest, I repeated, my voice doing that flat, quiet thing it does when I'm one syllable away from disbelief or losing my car keys. "What guest?" She blinked at me like I had asked the square root of a sandwich. "You know, from the other night." "No," I said, crossing my arms. "I don't know. We didn't have anyone over." Nora paused, then nodded like she was giving herself time to invent the memory. "Well, you were asleep." It was 11:30 in the morning, a Saturday. The sun was slicing through the blinds, casting sharp stripes across our kitchen tile. She stood at the sink in yoga pants and a hoodie she hadn't worn in months, the kind she used to wear when she still laughed at my jokes. The shirt in question hung behind her like a flag of surrender. "Let me get this straight," I said, pointing. "You had a guy over while I was asleep. He left his shirt, and your plan was to, what? Wash it? Dry it? Fold it, and send it back with a thank you card." She rolled her eyes like I was the dramatic one. "Don't make this weird." "Now, I've been accused of a lot of things. Being quiet. Too forgiving. A chronic overtipper. But weird? No, this situation was already wearing that crown. So I asked the logical follow-up. "What's his name?" She hesitated. She hesitated. And not the kind of pause you take when you're trying to remember if someone's name is Steve or Steven. No, this was a full-on system reboot. She was looking for a name she hadn't rehearsed. "Matt," she said finally. "Matt." I echoed. "Matt who?" She blinked, then said, "You don't know him." Classic. The Invisible Man defense. I didn't say anything else. I just looked at the shirt, blue, like the sky you stare at when the rug's been pulled out from under you. The rest of the day passed like someone pressed mute on the world. Nora went about her afternoon like she hadn't just spit in my trust and called it a wine stain. She folded laundry, fed the dog, and binge-watched some new drama about lawyers who cheat on each other as if life was imitating art, or maybe vice versa. I sat outside. Let the silence wrap around me like a cold coat. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I didn't even ask again. But in my gut, something shifted. That shirt? It was a thread. And I was ready to pull it. I waited 2 days before tugging on the thread. Not because I was scared, but because I wanted to see if she'd tie herself up with it first. Nora was good at pretending better than most. She played normal like it was piano sheet music. Dinners stayed civil. Smiles showed up on cue. But behind her eyes, something was slipping. It happened on a Wednesday. She was in the kitchen again, humming. Always humming. This time it was some indie song with lyrics about wandering hearts and empty beds. Nice touch. I was sipping coffee, watching her move around like the house was a stage, and I was the quiet audience she'd long stopped performing for. Then I saw it. Not a shirt. Not a phone. A button. A single, dark blue button sitting in the corner of the countertop. The kind that belonged to a fancy fitted shirt. Probably the same shirt she washed, the guest's shirt. Lose a button? I asked, as casually as you ask about the weather before a storm. She looked down. Froze for half a second. Oh, must have come off one of your shirts. Nope, I said. Mine have white buttons. She didn't respond. Just picked it up and dropped it in the junk drawer like it was a spare paper clip and not a breadcrumb back to the wolf in our woods. I finished my coffee. Going out tonight? Yeah, she said. Work drinks. Of course. Work. The modern-day cloak of infidelity. I nodded like I believed her, like the phrase, just coworkers, didn't already taste like metal in my mouth. After she left, perfume cloud trailing behind her, I went looking. Now, I'm no detective, but I've watched enough reruns of Columbo to know you don't ask questions until you already know the answers. So I started simple. The laundry room. The shirt was gone, but not forgotten. Then I checked the trash. Empty, she had taken it out. Not her style. That was my job. Always was. Always would be. Unless she had something to hide. I went outside. Sure enough, the trash can had a fresh bag. And tucked neatly inside that bag? A Target receipt. One shirt hanger. And a dry cleaning tag. Dry cleaning. For a shirt she claimed was just a guest's. Left over. Forgotten. Nobody dry cleans a guest shirt. Not unless that guest is sticking around longer than he should. That night, when she came home, her hair smelled different. Her eyes were tired in a way wine doesn't cause. And she kissed me like she didn't know how anymore. So I asked, did Matt enjoy his evening? She blinked. Just once. But it was enough. Did Matt enjoy his evening? That was the question. Just 6 words, tossed out like a fishing line on a still lake. And just like that, the water rippled. Nora didn't answer right away. She laughed. That forced, breathy kind of laugh women give when they're trying to disarm a situation. The kind of laugh that says I didn't expect that, I don't like this, and I need to stall. Are you still on that? She said, setting her purse down a little too gently, like anything louder might set something off. Logan, come on. Don't be weird. Ah, there it was again. Weird. Apparently, questioning why your wife is laundering men's shirts and dry cleaning someone else's cologne residue makes you the town lunatic. I just thought maybe you could ask him, I said, taking a sip of water, if he wants his button back. I reached into my pocket and dropped the dark blue button on the table. It clinked. Loud in that quiet kitchen. Nora's eyes followed it like it was radioactive. That's from your shirt, she said flatly. Nope. We covered that. Mine are white. Remember. I leaned back. Calm. Collected. I wasn't angry. I was studying. Watching the unraveling. She sat down across from me and let out a sigh, rubbing her forehead like she was the one with the migraine. Okay, she said. Do you want the truth? A dangerous sentence. When someone asks, do you want the truth? What they're really asking is, are you ready to stop pretending your house isn't on fire? Always, I said. She hesitated again. Blinked slower this time. Not a glitch, just a calculation. It's nothing serious, she began, which is always how serious things start. He's just someone I've gotten close to. Platonically. I nodded. Of course. Because I wash all my platonic friends' shirts. Fold them. Keep their buttons. Very normal behavior. Nora narrowed her eyes. You don't need to be sarcastic. Oh, sorry. Should I be grateful? I mean, who wouldn't want their wife casually laundering someone else's wardrobe like she's moonlighting at a boutique hotel? She looked away, chewing her lip like the next line might taste bad coming out. Did you sleep with him? I asked. She stared at the button. And that told me everything. It's not like that, she muttered. That's not a no. It didn't mean anything, Logan. There it was. The classic encore. It didn't mean anything. It always means something. Maybe not love. Maybe not obsession. But meaning? Oh, it's there. Woven into every lie told to cover it up. So, I said, folding my arms, how long's this been going on? Nora got quiet. Then she said something I didn't expect. 2 months. That landed like a punch I didn't brace for. 2 months. That meant 2 months of pretending. 2 months of kissing me goodnight with another man's name somewhere in her thoughts. 2 months of shared dinners, soft smiles, and the occasional I love you, all while another man's shirt sat next to mine in the laundry room. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because if I didn't, I might scream. Where'd you meet him? At the gym, she said quietly. His daughter's in swim class. We just started talking. And then you started folding his clothes. Got it. She stood up suddenly, defensive posture locked in. I made a mistake. Logan. Okay. I'm not proud of it. I didn't plan this. No, I said, you planned it just fine. You just didn't expect to get caught. Her face twisted, part guilt, part irritation. That was the thing about Nora. She hated being wrong more than she hated doing wrong. And now that the lie had cracked open, she wasn't scrambling to fix it. She was scrambling to justify it. I felt lonely, she said. You're always working. You barely talk anymore. We haven't been us in months. I shook my head slowly. That's your defense? That I didn't talk enough? So you found a man with tighter shirts and less conversation and figured that'd fill the silence. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. The silence itself was loud enough. I stood, picked up the button, and slid it into my wallet. Keep his shirt, I said, walking toward the hallway. Next time he visits, maybe he can iron it himself. And I meant to leave it at that. I really did. But something made me turn back. Oh, and for what it's worth, I added, you're not as subtle as you think. She frowned. What's that supposed to mean? I smiled. Your perfume's been different. Your habits changed. You started making the bed. So, you never made the bed when you were happy. Her mouth opened like she wanted to argue, but nothing came out. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel confused. I felt awake. The strange thing about betrayal is how quiet it is. It doesn't kick the door in or scream your name from the rooftops. No, it whispers. It simmers. It starts as a creak in the floorboard you chalk up to nothing until one day, the whole damn house caves in. I didn't explode. I didn't demand she pack her bags. I didn't even sleep on the couch. No, I did something far more unsettling. I acted normal. That next morning, I kissed Nora on the cheek before leaving for work. She flinched slightly, like I'd leaned in with a lit match. But she didn't pull away. Have a good day, I said, calm as ever. You too, she replied, voice strained like she'd been holding her breath all night. I drove around the block and parked on a side street, killed the engine, and sat in silence. I wasn't going to work. Not today. Today, I had other plans. Because if she was going to lie with a straight face, I wanted to see what else she could do with it. I didn't want to guess anymore. I wanted to know. So I called up an old friend of mine, Evan. We used to work together back when I was still in logistics before I moved into consulting. Evan had a knack for finding things people didn't want found. He called himself an independent researcher. Translation: he once helped another guy we knew find out his girlfriend had 3 phones and 2 names. He owed me a favor. You got a minute? I asked when he picked up. For you? Always, he said. What are we looking for? Missing person, hidden accounts, or the kind of mess you don't want your name on? Just a guy named Matt, I said. He works out at the same gym as my wife. Drives a gray Audi. Wears tailored shirts and smells like insecurity. Evan chuckled. Say no more. Give me the gym name, and I'll do some light digging. Should have something in a couple days. Make it quiet, I said. I'm not loud, he replied. I'm a whisper in the wind. I hung up and felt the first ounce of control return to my chest. That afternoon, I came home with flowers. Yep, flowers. A whole bouquet of gilt roses. Bright red, obnoxious, store-bought sincerity. Nora blinked like I'd come home with a tiger on a leash. What's this? She asked. You seemed stressed, I said. Thought you deserved something nice. She hesitated before taking them. Thanks. That's sweet. No, Nora. Sweet was what you should have been when I was making sacrifices to keep our life intact. This was strategy. Later that night, we sat down for dinner like nothing had happened. Chicken parm, a little wine, and enough forced small talk to earn us an Emmy. She asked about my work. I asked about hers. It was a conversation made of duct tape, barely holding together, but still standing. Then she said it. Logan, about the other night. I looked up. I just want you to know it's over, she said. I told him it was a mistake. That I was married. That it can't happen again. I didn't blink. Didn't breathe. I appreciate you being honest, I said. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand like a nervous first date. I want to fix this. I don't want to lose you. And maybe she meant it. Or maybe she just realized that Matt's abs wouldn't pay the mortgage. Either way, I nodded. Then let's fix it, I said. We went to bed early that night. She curled up beside me like old times, like the guilt was exhausting. I held her, but I didn't close my eyes. You don't sleep next to a liar without checking your pockets. The next day, Evan called. I've got your boy, he said. Name's Matt Larson. 34. Divorced. 2 kids he barely sees. Used to sell high-end water filtration systems. Now he runs his own fitness coaching business from Instagram. Lives in a loft downtown that he definitely can't afford on client revenue alone. Tell me he's not smart, I said. He's not smart, Evan confirmed. He's the kind of guy who thinks wearing sunglasses indoors makes him mysterious. I almost smiled. Anything else? Oh yeah. He's got a thing for married women. Like, a whole pattern. The guy's practically allergic to single women. I've got 2 phone numbers, 3 burner accounts, and a gym check-in record that says he's been there at the same time as Nora 8 of the last 10 days. Perfect. Good work, I said. Send me everything. Quietly. Logan, he said, voice softening. You okay, man? I'm better than I've been in weeks, I said. And I meant it. Because this wasn't just a betrayal anymore. It was a chessboard. And I had just moved my first piece. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. I say it's best served calculated, plated with grace, garnished with patience. And Nora? She didn't even realize the oven had been turned off. The next 2 weeks were pleasant. Suspiciously so. Nora smiled more. She texted midday again, little heart emojis, jokes about dinner, even the occasional selfie with her hair done just right, like she was auditioning for forgiveness. I played my part, of course. Woke up early. Made breakfast. Fixed the leaky faucet she'd been nagging me about since last year. If a stranger walked into our house, they'd see a husband trying to win his wife back. What they wouldn't see was the man quietly constructing a blueprint behind every smile. It wasn't about rage anymore. It wasn't even about heartbreak. No, I'd already passed through those gates. What I wanted now was resolution. And I wasn't about to let her walk away feeling like this was just a rough patch we overcame. I was going to give her exactly what she gave me. A performance. A slow, unraveling one. First, I invited her to a dinner. A nice one. The kind we hadn't had in years. I even made a reservation at that French place with the impossible-to-pronounce menu she always pretended to understand. When she walked into the restaurant that Friday night, her eyes lit up like it was prom. She wore the dress I once bought her in Barcelona. It still fit. A little too well. I almost forgot how good she was at acting like nothing ever happened. You look beautiful, I said. She blushed. You look happy. I am, I replied. And I wasn't lying. Not in the way she was used to. Dinner was pleasant. Almost romantic. She laughed at my jokes again, and for a moment, if I didn't know what I knew, I might have let myself fall back into her web. But then I remembered the shirt. The button. The man with the gym membership and the Instagram apps. As she sipped her wine, I leaned in. I was thinking, I said, we should plan a little getaway. Just us. Maybe a cabin somewhere. Reconnect. Her eyes sparkled with something between hope and hesitation. Really? Yeah. No phones. No work. Just us. She reached across the table and touched my hand. That sounds perfect. Of course it did. The guilt was finally getting heavy, and she thought a weekend escape would be her clean slate. She had no idea I was about to hand her a mirror instead. The next morning, I paid Evan a visit. Not over the phone. In person. This next step needed clarity and a little flair. You sure you want to go through with this? He asked, handing me a manila folder. Inside were screenshots, photos, and a neat timeline of Nora's extracurricular activities each day, each lie, each little betrayal marked with digital receipts and high-res clarity. Oh, I'm sure, I said, flipping through it like a menu. You ever seen someone gaslight you into doubting your own senses? Evan smirked. Not recently. I have, I said. And now I'm just returning the favor with a little class. I scanned the material. There it was, Matt's full name, address, social handles. Even a snapshot of the 2 of them leaving the gym parking lot, her smiling, him looking smug, like he'd won a prize he didn't pay for. Perfect, I said, sliding the folder into my briefcase. Time to host a party. What kind of party? Evan asked. The kind where truth is the entertainment. A week later, I told Nora I wanted to host a small dinner at our house. Just close friends, People we hadn't seen in a while. She lit up. That sounds amazing. Should I invite Lauren and Pete? Absolutely, I said. And let's include your coworkers. I'd love to meet the people you're around so often. She hesitated. All of them. All of them, I said with a smile. Even Matt. There. A flicker. Barely a blink. But it was there. Like a deer stepping one hoof into a trap it couldn't see yet. Sure, she said slowly. I'll send the invites. The night of the dinner, I set the table like it was Thanksgiving. Candles. Wine. Plates that hadn't seen daylight since our wedding registry. Nora looked stunning nervous, but stunning. Matt arrived late. Of course he did. He walked in wearing that smug, cologne-soaked charm and shook my hand like he believed we were equals. Logan, right? He said. Yep, I said, gripping his hand a little tighter than necessary. Glad you could join us. As people laughed and drank and passed around bruschetta, I waited. Waited until dessert. Until wine had loosened lips and lowered guards. Then I stood. Appreciate everyone being here tonight, I began. It's rare we get to do this. Life moves fast. People drift. But I think tonight is a reminder of how important truth is. People nodded. Glasses clinked. Nora looked unsure. Matt shifted. I've put together a little something, I said, pulling a flash drive from my pocket. Just a short video. Memories. Moments. Nora and I, 10 years strong, right, babe? She nodded stiffly. I turned on the projector. The screen lit up. And for the first 30 seconds, it was innocent enough. Photos of us over the years, music playing softly. People smiled. Clapped. Toasted. And then came the final slide. A single image, Nora and Matt, side by side, entering a hotel. Silence. Nora's wine glass froze halfway to her lips. Matt's smile cracked like a windshield under pressure. I cleared my throat. That one's from 2 weeks ago, right after Nora told me it was over. Funny how that works. The silence was thick, uncomfortable, delicious. Well, I said, turning to Matt, I believe this shirt belongs to you. I held up the dry-cleaned blue shirt, still on the hanger. He didn't move. I'll let you take that on your way out. Thanks for coming. And just like that, I walked into the kitchen to grab dessert. When I came back with dessert, the living room had transformed from a cozy gathering to a crime scene without a body. Matt was gone. No goodbyes, no excuses, just an empty wine glass and a front door that probably swung shut behind him faster than his gym exit sprints. The rest of the guests pretended to sip from glasses they suddenly didn't need. The laughter had evaporated. And Nora? She just sat there, eyes wide, hands folded in her lap like a student waiting to be expelled. Should we go? Someone whispered. A couple of couples shuffled out with polite nods and sorry eyes, like leaving a funeral early. I let them go. I wasn't angry at them. They weren't the ones who folded another man's shirt in my laundry room. Soon it was just us, Nora and me, and the echo of everything she never said. She didn't speak at first, just stared at the tablecloth like it held the answers. Finally, you planned this. I did. All of it. I nodded. From the flowers to the file folder. She let out a hollow laugh. That's psychotic. No, I said. That's patient. She stood up slowly. You humiliated me. I tilted my head. Ah, you were humiliated. Not when you lied, cheated, and washed his clothes in my house. No, the real betrayal was being caught. Got it. I made a mistake. No, Nora. Ordering pineapple on pizza is a mistake. This was a series of conscious, repeated, disrespectful decisions. Don't sell it cheap. You earned this. And I walked away. Because I knew what came next would be begging, bargaining. And I didn't need it. Not anymore. The next morning, she tried to reset the world. She made coffee, toast, even played that lo-fi playlist she used to love when things were normal. But the kitchen felt like a museum of a life that had ended quietly the night before. When I walked in, she was waiting with a stack of pancakes. Let's talk. We've done that, I said. Now we file. Logan, please. I'm not mad, I said. I'm not screaming. I'm not throwing plates. You should be grateful. Because most men would have burned the whole damn house down. Her lip trembled. I can change. But I already did, I said. I changed the moment you made me feel like I wasn't enough. That week, I spoke to a lawyer. Quick. Clean. No kids, no property fights, just a quiet exit strategy signed in black ink. Nora cried when I left the papers on the counter. Said I was giving up. I smiled and said, you gave up first. She asked if we could talk later. One last dinner? I nodded. Sure. Because closure? That was part of the plan, too. She made her signature dish chicken piccata with that garlic lemon thing I always liked. Candlelight. Clean plates. Even the good wine we'd been saving for something special. And this was special. She was trying. You could see it in the details. She'd straightened her hair, wore the old perfume I once said reminded me of home. But the room still smelled like endings. Halfway through the meal, she reached for my hand. I let her. I still love you, she said. I believe that, I said. But you loved him too. No, she insisted. It wasn't love. Then it was worse, I said. Because you risked everything for nothing. Silence. She nodded slowly. Took a breath. I never meant to hurt you. And yet, I said, lifting my glass, you did it anyway. With remarkable consistency. Then I pulled out the envelope I'd brought. A note. Just one sentence, handwritten. She opened it, scanned it, then looked up. Enjoy the freedom you threw everything away for. I stood, took one last look at the life we built, and walked out. That was the last time I ever sat across from Nora. It's been 6 months now. Funny how peaceful a house can be when it's no longer lying to you. The silence isn't heavy anymore. It's clean. I make my own coffee. I leave the laundry unfolded if I feel like it. No ghost shirts in the sink. Word got around about the dinner incident. Some people thought I went too far. Said I should have handled it behind closed doors. But here's the thing. She betrayed me behind closed doors. I just brought the lights up and let the curtain fall. Sometimes I still get texts from her. Random things. A memory. A quote. Once she sent a photo of the beach we used to go to every summer. I never respond. Because forgiveness doesn't always mean reconnection. Sometimes it means letting go so completely that your absence becomes louder than any words you could say. Matt? He tried reaching out too. Left a message saying he didn't know I was serious. I didn't reply. Because I'm not just serious, I'm free. The revenge wasn't the slideshow. It wasn't the button, the shirt, or the exit. The real revenge? Is living well, and knowing she'll never find peace in the place she burned down herself. And every time she remembers my silence at the end, she'll hear the echo of the man she underestimated.